Sorry in advance for the existential crisis, but the Xbox 360 turns 20 years old this year. And I think given the 2 decades it's been around, some folks tend to assume that the games look super old. And they end up surprised when the games actually have a fairly modern look to them. We definitely reached the point of diminishing returns in terms of graphics in the 7th generation. Still, I see some naysayers in the comments. This is nostalgia bait. Why would you play games on such a crusty old console? The games look like shit. Wrong. Let's take a look at a few games that still look awesome to this day. First up, Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is the game that inspired this video, and honestly, I still can barely believe Crystal Dynamics pulled this off on Xbox 360 hardware. I remember when this game came out. It was November of 2015, which is a super late 360 release, by the way, which is a common theme on this list. And I was living with my friend at the time and rented this. I was astounded. I think we've all got a few games looking back over the years that just blew our minds, and this was one of them for me. It was specifically this scene right here. Where I called my friend over for like the 5th time to come see how good it looked, and man, what a sight to behold, in more ways than one. All kidding aside, the level of detail in the panning cinematic shots, and the dynamic range of the lighting, the noticeably different shine of the wet fabric, and the shimmering from the moisture on Lara's skin, this was truly next level. Next up is Alien Isolation.
It's really bad here, Verlaine.
Switching up the vibes here to claustrophobic, atmospheric horror, Alien Isolation was another super late release, coming out in 2014. While other games in the genre like Alan Wake and Condemned could probably make a list like this themselves, and hey, if you like this, comment below and perhaps I'll do a follow-up video. But I think Alien Isolation truly stands above the rest in terms of its ability to max out the 360's hardware to fully maximize lighting and atmospheric effects. The late release allowed for the tools and engine to be further developed and refined, such that the team over at Creative Assembly was able to very authentically capture the feeling of the original Alien movie. Stuck on a spaceship, trapped with horrifying aliens, Alien Isolation makes incredible use of both its incredible lighting effects, enabled by their rendering techniques, as well as impressive texture quality and shadows, for a 360 title at least, partially enabled by the 2 discs and mandatory 6.2 gigabyte download needed to even boot up the game in the first place. Not an install of the game, mind you, just a download from the discs to even play at all. So this one is not playable on the base 4GB slim model. Still, this is one horror fans cannot afford to miss. Next on our list is Halo 4. While this is definitely not the best, or even second best, Halo game on Xbox 360, it is undeniably a damn good looking game. 343 Industries deserves credit where credit is due here, and the lighting techniques they cooked up for this game make it look legitimately like it could be an Xbox One game. I did a little research on how they achieved this, and it sounds like the majority of the game is lit statically through something called light maps, allowing for full use of global illumination and ambient occlusion. They also use image-based lighting to pull it all together. Now, I'm no expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be, but the gist seems to be that through some clever use of pioneering techniques, they were able to bake in a lot of the lighting effects in advance and plant it into the game with the textures, such that it effectively eliminated, or in most cases drastically reduced, the computational load placed on the hardware to render it in real time. You nerds can feel free to elaborate further or correct me in the comments, but suffice to say, whatever they did was enough to make this a groundbreaking title visually, even if it missed the target for some as a sequel in a beloved franchise. Our next game is Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. Developed by Ninja Theory and released in 2010, Enslaved: Odyssey to the West was originally pitched as a CGI film before being adapted into this game. While it is lacking some of the polish of other titles on this list, I wanted to feature this quote-unquote hidden gem as I think it deserves more attention. The highlights here are the beautifully vibrant, returned to nature take on a post apocalyptic world, as well as the impressive character animations of our dynamic duo, Monkey and Trip, thanks to motion capture work from the legendary Andy Serkis, who famously played Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and his co star Lindsay Shaw. And you gotta remember, this is the company that went on to do the Hellblade games, Hellblade 2 probably having the best facial capture in all of video games. Enslaved Odyssey to the West didn't end up performing very well financially, and the game is not without its flaws, but it still ended up winning awards for the performances of the actors involved and moved the bar for motion capture and facial animation further forward. That impressive character work, coupled with the lush setting, really stood out to me as a game that needed to be on this list. No surprise on this one, Forza Motorsport 4. I go back and forth a bit on what I think is the actual best looking game on Xbox 360, but Forza Motorsport 4 is frequently at, or at least near, the top of the list. The extremely high fidelity car models are a real selling point here, as are the scenic backdrops you rip past at wicked speeds. But one piece of the puzzle that some wouldn't factor into best graphics conversations is the performance. The rock-solid 60 frames per second this game maintains allows for the visual splendor to just sing smoothly the entire time, with no stutter, no breaks in the immersion. When you couple that smoothness with the insanely detailed cars and the lovingly crafted tracks and landscapes, man, what a visual feast for the eyes. Some have said that they preferred the motion clarity of Forza 3 over this game, and that Forza 4 has a bit of a blur on the background when you really get cooking, but for me, I think Forza 4 is the perfect balancing act of all the things that made previous titles shine, with a little flair added for that sense of speed. It very well may be the best looking game on the console, depending on who you ask. Last, and probably least, Hitman Blood Money. Blood Money is an incredibly fun game with a great sense of humor, despite its fairly dark overall premise. And while it's certainly not a bad-looking game by any means, some of you may be a little surprised to see this one featured here over some other titles that may come to mind first. I agree with you, generally speaking, and again, I'm likely to do a follow-up video with more great-looking games if y'all are asking for it in the comments, but I think what makes Blood Money so impressive to me is that this 2006 title, just a year after the 360's debut, was actually released on both the Xbox and the 360 simultaneously, and actually manages to be impressive on both. The original Xbox version is truly a marvel of engineering, but the 360 version improves on nearly every element, from massively better resolution, draw distance, lighting, and environmental detail, to the inclusion of facial animations. It's a total facelift to an all-time classic game, and it's incredible to see how the developer used the 7th gen console's horsepower and used it so effectively to transform the entire visual experience. And there's moments throughout the game that really impress, like the dramatic lighting and shadows in certain scenes, and the trickery they use to create such massive crowds with such limited hardware on the Murder of Crows mission. And the NPCs are actual physical character models with collision. I think that's really cool. Maybe it lags behind other titles on this list, but it's my list, and I love me some Hitman, and I think it looks awesome. If you have some games you think should end up on a part 2 of this list, definitely let me know in the comments below. Consider liking the video if you did like it, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for stopping by.